Hi guys, Chris here with the Unshakable Man, and this is part 2 of how to check in, or how to do the 3x3 Unshakable Man check-in. In this one, I'm going to talk more about noticing formative language, or amplifiers, suppressors, judgments, and stories, and why this is important and what this really means, okay? So, just to review, the 3 stages of the check-in itself are to take a deep breath in your nose and then out your mouth. And then you bring your awareness to the space around you, and you're going to label 3 things you notice in a dry yet descriptive way, removing any amplifiers, any suppressors, or any judgments, or any stories. Then you're going to take another deep breath in your nose, out your mouth, and you're going to bring your awareness into your body, okay? And you're going to zoom in on something you notice on or in your body, and you're going to label 3 different things you notice. Again, in a dry yet descriptive way, removing any amplifiers, suppressors, or judgments, or stories. And then finally, you're going to do the same thing again, this time scanning your emotional state. Again, removing any amplifiers, suppressors, or judgments, or stories. So why is this important? Why is this important? Formative language. Formative language comes in 4 main categories: amplification, suppressors, judgments, or stories about what we're noticing. So when we do this check-in, what we're doing is we're starting to become aware of what we're previously unaware of, which is our tendency to amplify, to suppress, to judge, or to tell stories about our experience. Now, formative language is the primary tool we have to relate to our experience, whether that's internal in our head, in the stories or the language in our head, or out loud to other people in our life or in our relationships. And as we move about our experience of our life, we have a tendency to suppress or repress, or to cling to emotions that we think are good, or to move away from emotions that we think are bad. And so what we start to do is then we're starting to do this, right? And so when we start to get present within this check-in, is the first step is to become aware of this in our language, right? And so it's much more powerful, it's much more connected to say, I feel sad. And to feel it. I feel sad. Than it is to maybe say, I feel more sad than I've ever felt my entire life. And the reason why is because of this and this and this, right? Because the more words we use, the more we start to disconnect from our actual felt experience of what we're feeling. And now sometimes we have a tendency to suppress, right? Or to deny or to diminish certain emotions. And so we'll say, I feel kind of sad, or I feel a little sad, right? And so when, instead of saying, I feel kind of sad, or I feel a little sad, it's much more powerful to just notice the sensation or the emotion of sadness, to say, I feel sad, than to suppress it. Now, again, this is just a tool to start to connect to our present experience and to start to notice our tendency to suppress or repress or judge or tell a story, okay? So along the way, we're then going to connect this to giving and receiving adjustments. And this is where men in the space, in the next lesson I'll talk about this, but where men in the space who are receiving you are going to listen to you and to attune to you. And they might give you feedback and are an adjustment. And the way that they will do that, I'll just say it now for this lesson, is they will repeat to you words that they might be suppressors, judgments, or stories that they hear you saying. And when you hear that, you have a choice of whether or not to receive the adjustment, okay, and to say whatever you were saying without those words, or to deny it, right? And so to choose to actually attach yourself to what you're saying and actually become more mindful of it and aware. Say, no, I do feel kind of sad, or I do feel a little sad, right? right? But then when you do that, you're actually connecting to it more, right? You're not just suppressing or judging or telling a story without having awareness. You're actually choosing to have integrity about that, all right? So this was the formative language lesson for how to check in. So just start to notice those amplifiers, suppressors, judgments, and stories when you or another man checks in. I'll see you in group.